I'm Gab, he's Jules, Blue Skies over West London. Jules, great to have you back. What a show. It's the magic of the FA Cup. No, it's not. The FA Cup was a big turd this weekend, except for the Arsenal United game.
That's right.
We'll be getting into that in a minute, but I think we have to talk about the Clasico. And Manita, another one.
Again.
Barcelona destroying Real Madrid. And look, we know it's a Super Cup and stuff, and people scoff at that, but this was a Clasico in the derby. And this was something that actually really matters to both these teams and to their fan bases. And it comes at a time when, Barcelona a bit down in La Liga and so on. Man, if you wanted to get a response about how these players believe in Flick and how they want to push on and go beyond all the adversity and the nonsense, this was it.
Yeah, they look obviously amazing from pretty much start to finish, even when they were down to 10 after the Chesney red card and Real Madrid pulled one back to make it 5-2 with half an hour to go. And we thought, okay, maybe there's something.
No.
They still control the game. I mean, I think Real Madrid were super disappointing in the end. Everybody apart from Julien, I guess. That was the only bright point for Real Madrid all evening.
Courtois saved a couple of goals. It could have been 7 or 8.
It could have been 2-0 after 5 minutes for Barcelona. It was that bad. So you're right. Courtois and Mbappe, and then that's it. I think from Carlo Ancelotti's tactics and choices to Vini's form, to Camavinga's form, or Tchouaméni, Rudiger. Let's not go in. I mean, we could go into every individual apart from Mbappe and Courtois, and there was just nothing from this Real Madrid team. And on the other hand, especially the front three of Barcelona were just outstanding.
I'm trying to be more positive this year. And so by being more positive, I don't want us to do the thing where we just go and point out all of Real Madrid's mistakes, because I think we have to give Barcelona a tremendous amount of credit. Even basic things like the Rafinha header where he sort of like sneaks in. Okay, he's unmarked. But still, I wouldn't associate Rafinha with that kind of header from that position. Lamine Yamal, again, that goal where he cuts in from the side. And then how do you have the foresight to do the little sneaky finish? I'm assuming I knew he was going to place it, but I didn't think he was going to place it like that.
Yeah.
So much individual quality, the Casado pass as well. I mean, I look at this and I tell myself, all right, so if they keep Araujo and he's fit, and this team's really, really good. This team can be really good.
Yeah, but we've known that for a while. It's just that sometimes the high line, it doesn't work. Sometimes because they play with so much intensity, they get tired. And we've seen that in all those points that they dropped. When you watch the game yesterday and you don't know La Liga's table, right? And somebody's watching with you yesterday and said, you know what, there's 5 points behind those two teams in La Liga. You think, okay, yeah, Barca are clearly ahead of Real Madrid, and it's the other way around. You're like, okay, how is that even possible? That's how many points they drop against Leganes and against Las Palmas and those kind of teams. But on their day, we've said it before, Gab, they can beat anybody. They're that good.
So on the Real Madrid front, for me, there's 2 people that I would flag up that have to bear a lot of the responsibility. One is Vini, and the other one is Carlo. Vini, I don't want to make it seem like I'm picking on him, but you can't be Mr. Big Game player and then turn in performances like this. You built your reputation on this. You had a massive sulk about the Ballon d'Or because you scored important goals, blah, blah, blah. This is your game, and if it's not working for you, at least work. At least work off the ball. And we got none. And then you're a passenger.
Yeah.
We can break him down further, but I can't we love Carlo, but
wrong team.
Completely wrong team. Yeah. Even if you feel the pressure that I want to put out all my stars and there's another way to do it.
Definitely.
I mean, this was a game where Ceballos or Modric should have started?
Definitely. You can't go with that front four against a team like this. They're going to open you up, and they did. And they could have scored 10 goals, as you said before.
Yeah, I felt that in a game like this, you want to exploit the high line, so I understand. And you figure if I've got Rodrigo and Vini in there, I can put them under pressure in transition and so on. And Flick will necessarily have to be more conservative. Whatever you're thinking. But clearly, it's not working. And then the individual mistakes on top of that, sure.
Yeah.
But the whole setup was wrong. And maybe Vini was out there too long.
Yeah, maybe he could have changed earlier. But the goals arrived so quickly. Once they took the lead after 5 minutes, and look, maybe it's our game. Then after that, it was just one after the other, just before the break, just after the break. Even when Rodrigo hits the post in the second half and they go on the other hand and score, it was just one of those those afternoons. But for me, Carlo Ancelotti, unacceptable to get it that wrong, because he got it wrong already 70 days ago in the first Clasico that they lost 4-0.
Yeah.
By going more traditional, remember it was kind of a 4-4-2. This time was even worse.
We know Clasico defeats way more. We know you can point to this and say, look, they're 1 point off the top of La Liga. And again, in the Champions League, Courtois stands on his head. Mbappe does something out of nothing. Vini something out of nothing. They can beat anybody, blah, blah, blah. They can win it again. But I think you can dump this all on Carlo. And I don't think there's any question that he could have set up differently in this game. Equally, though, can we agree this is a horrendously constructed team? And this goes back to the Panini sticker quote, because if we're going to go and crucify Tchouaméni, and rightly so, he made a bunch of mistakes. This is a guy who's not a central defender, who's asked to be your first choice center back. Now, David Alaba's on the bench, and you can say, but wow, you could have played Asensio or whatever. Yeah, guys, let's be realistic. You cannot go into a season with this plan. And what we're hearing, by the way, is every indication, Real Madrid, oh no, we're not going to sign anybody in January. I think it's pretty obvious that you do need to sign somebody.
We said that.
Right?
Yeah.
To think that I can put all my resources on attacking players. Again, Panini sticker correction. 2 guys who are most comfortable on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
And 2 guys who look, Mbappe had one of his better games, one of the few better lights.
Yeah.
He might have scored a hat-trick, frankly, in this game. But equally, you know that this is not how you put an 11 together. Like, I don't obsess over positions as much as others do. But when your 3 main attacking players are all players who naturally go to the left-hand side, in Mbappe, Bellingham, and Vinicius, you can see this in the summer, right?
Yeah. I think there was maybe the idea, and we've heard it a lot through the summer, Carlo will find a way. Carlo always finds a way. He will find a way. And as amazing as Carlo Ancelotti is, one of the greatest coaches ever, he can't just do miracles. There's a moment where there's also limitations with his own squad that he can't transform in a way. So yesterday he got it wrong. He got it wrong in the first Clasico. They've conceded 9 goals in 2 Clasicos now, which is embarrassing in itself and humiliating. But I think he's also trying to find ways. And in this one, I find it really hard that he sat down before the game and think, we're going to play Rodrigo, Vinicius, Julien, and Bellingham, and he's going to be fine. They don't press. They never press. They've never pressed. This is not a pressing team. There's nothing coordinated, even with the ball, outside of an individual moment of brilliance or a transition. Right. They just don't do anything. There's no patterns of play. There's no setup really. Not like we saw Barcelona, for example, on the Lamine goal, which Lewandowski comes short. He plays it in behind for Lamine. All of that. There's just none of that. This is not how this team. This team has never played like that under Carlo. Never, which is fine. It's fine. But then you know your strength and you know your weaknesses. Don't go with a front 4 against a team like this. It makes no sense whatsoever.
This team, and I think back to the first time we Carlo at Real Madrid, and I'm thinking back to when they had Bale and Cristiano, right? And you could argue that, you have 2 guys who aren't necessarily going to bust their backside off the ball, but what they did off the ball was much more useful.
Yeah.
Simply by going into positions where, okay, guy, if you lose the ball, I'm going to be a threat. These guys can't even do that. I mean, and you know what? And Vini, it's pathological at this point, right? This is what he is. And you have to have a big elephant in the room question is whether going forward, whether you stick with Carlo or not, is this good use of my resources having Vini and Mbappe in the same team? Does this actually make sense? Because I either have to teach them to become different players, or at least teach one of them to become a different player, or otherwise, this problem's not going to go away.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mbappe could become a really good number 9 in his own way. And we saw yesterday, we said it's probably his best game. The only positive of the game was his performance. But
and Courtois, you always forget Courtois. His bias against Belgian goalkeepers.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
We're talking about the ball
I'm joking.
going forward. the problem is not so much with the ball, although this team cannot just be a transition team. This is bonkers to think that you can win against big teams by just playing on the counter when you've got players like that.
But you kind of have to be, because you don't have Toni Kroos anymore. And, your creative playmaker is Dani Ceballos, who I think is out of contract in the summer and who, is kind of playing by default. So that supports your point. That makes it even worse, right?
Yeah, exactly. But so you'd have to find another way.
Well, sure. Sorry, can I go back to this? Am I crazy to think that Tchouaméni could be a midfield passer if he wasn't also needed in the back?
Yeah,
if he could be trusted with that?
Yeah, I think he can. I think he could get.
But we'll never find out because he has to play center back.
For now, yeah. Let's see when David Alaba comes back or whoever they sign or not sign or something. But this is just like, yes, on the day there could be anybody because they're still individually the best in the world. A lot of them in their positions. Fine. But when you face a strong collective, at some point in the first half, they had 24% of the ball. Before the equalizer from Lamine, they scored in the 5th minute. Then they just gave the ball away and gave up any kind of possession. Let's wait and let's hit them on the counter. It just doesn't work like this. You can't. You're Real Madrid. You can't play like that anyway.
Even if you were going to wait, even if you wanted to play, we have seen Real Madrid play that way at times in the past and do it with success. But you can't do it with Lucas Vázquez, Tchouaméni out of position. When the other team has so many individual match winners, so many people who can run at you and win free kicks or beat you or create overloads, it's not going to happen. And I know the usual people are being scapegoated, right? And I beyond Vini and Carlo, and look, those are the guys the two of the guys who are highest paid, have the most responsibility. It's fair to ask more questions of them. But people are not going to pick on Tchouaméni. People are going to pick on Ferland Mendy, who I think has not been good for a long time, on Lucas Vázquez. But guys, who are we talking about? It's almost like this is like punching down when we pick on them.
Yeah.
Like, we expect more for how this team was put together, why they were put in that position. And again, your bigger stars not getting it done. I was going to pick on Rodrigo. I was frustrated by Rodrigo, right? In this game. But then again, if I'm Rodrigo, what am I thinking? I'm like, hey, look, I'm the 3rd best left-sided attacker on this team. That is my position, right? Last season, I have to play on the right. Then they sign yet another left-sided player. I'm in the lineup. I'm out of the lineup. I come in. I'm asked to do this. I'm asked to do that. I'm Rodrigo, right? Well, what do I get out of it? What support do I get from my teammates, right?
I know, but you play for Real Madrid. So I think playing on the right for Real Madrid and playing on the left anywhere else, you would always pick playing on the right for Real Madrid.
No, I know, but you're putting guys in these situations, right?
True.
We can go back and play Monday morning quarterback on what we're doing. And obviously, Bellingham didn't have a good game either. And, hindsight, should Brahim Diaz have started on the right? But I don't think it would have made a difference in a game like this. Barcelona were that good.
Yeah, and I just collectively, when Barca are in that kind of mood, with that front three that we mentioned, with the midfield three of Casado, Gavi, and Pedri, who worked so hard. I mean, all the hard work that we saw from Barcelona and the intensity, we saw none of it for Real Madrid. And that's not on Carlo, to be fair. You can play with intensity without pressing super high. The two are different things. And there was neither from Real Madrid, but there was all of that from this Barca team. When they're in that kind of form, and I know when they play against a low block, it's more difficult. When you match the intensity, certainly in terms of being aggressive, it's more difficult for them. So we know how they can struggle and where they struggle. And we know that when they get tired and drop that level of intensity a little bit, then they're vulnerable. We've seen that this season. Yeah. So we know that. But there was just nothing that Real Madrid were ready to do to match that. And this Barca team is just, when they're like that, they're just amazing. They really are wonderful with Araujo starting on the bench. So you're right. When he comes in and plays, and I really hope we don't see Inigo Martinez for a while. I know he's injured, but
come on, man.
It's
the European champion
good.
You're talking about.
Yeah. True. Sorry, Inigo. It's great. And as long as that front three will be in that kind of form, Lewandowski, 26 goals in 27 games, 185 goals in the last 5 seasons. Nobody in the last 5 years in the whole world has scored more than him. Okay. He's 36.
Does that include Erling Braut Haaland?
That does include Erling Braut Haaland.
I will say this. It doesn't mean that it was a good signing when they did sign him.
I'm just saying that at 36.
Right.
But we've seen that with Cristiano, with Ibra, with others. After 30, I don't know what happens in your head when you're a goal scorer, but it seems that you're scoring more than before you were 30.
The amazing thing is, I think of the number of goals he's missed this season.
I swear, yeah.
Would he be at like
Could have
45?
5 or 6 more, yeah, you're right, easily.
In terms of Barcelona, obviously they've been through the Dani Olmo thing. He came on as a substitute, got walloped right away.
Yeah.
I made the point that Dani Olmo, they shouldn't have put themselves in a position with Dani Olmo, a player they did not need. And some people push back and say, oh no, but Gavi, different profile, Pedri, different profile. I'm like, profile this, especially if you're going to play this high line. I think you need that trio in midfield, as you said, that are going to work so hard. And Gavi, Pedri, and Marc Asado do that in a way that Olmo does not. And I think there's obviously going to be games where maybe Olmo in there makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think at this point going forward, when I think best 11, I'm thinking Olmo super sub here.
Yeah, I think so. Like Frankie too, to be fair. Yesterday I know Casado is maybe not the most gifted technically and as good as the others in certain aspects of this game, but he's indispensable for this team, just for the work rate and his intelligence on covering space, especially with the high line. And yeah, there will be time where even Casado can't prevent the high line to be exploited. It's normal. Like we've said before, that teams have worked out how to play against them, especially teams that are playing on the counter and not as good as Barcelona. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that front three, as long as they can stay healthy, this team can, the league, because Atletico and Real Madrid are still going to win games in La Liga because they are better than every other team. Yeah. So the title might be still a long shot. Although 5 and 6 points is still doable when you have to play Real Madrid at home again and then go to Atletico Madrid. But the Champions League is a competition that you could easily see this Barca team winning, for example.
All right, I'm going to ask a $1 million question. As you know, when it comes to Barcelona, and again, we get pushback, people saying like, oh, you don't win titles for accounting and stuff like that. The reality is they're in a terrible situation. I think they've made it worse with the levers. That said, it's still January. I'm going to go on a limb and say, when I look at this, my concern is Lewandowski, not because he's 36 years old and he scored a ton of goals this season, but he really is the only viable center forward option. And after that, it's Ferran Torres or Dani Olmo. I personally am not opposed to Dani Olmo at center forward.
No,
I don't think it's...
I like to see that. I think he can do it.
But I am wondering, are you in a situation where you might be tempted to take somebody on loan, sacrifice somebody just to get another live body in there so that Lewandowski doesn't have to play every game or a bit of insurance? Would you be tempted if there's any way to find any kind of money in there?
There's no money because they keep to be linking with those big moves for 50, 60
million.
million.
I'm not talking about those stupid ones.
What? How? But I think Ferran is the replacement. So if you ask Flick now or Deco or somebody at the club and say like, hey, why not going for backup number 9? So, well, we have it already. And we are not fans of Ferran Torres. They might be fans or they might just think, listen, there's nothing else we can do. We can't go and sign anybody, not even on loan, and register him. And so I think they will make with what they have.
All right. Final question. We were asked this last night on the show. One game, you can pick one of these 3 strikers. Vini, Lamine Yamal, or 3 players rather, or Mohamed Salah for one game. Who do you choose? I'm curious if your answer is the same as mine.
I'll go for Salah.
That's what I chose too. Great minds think alike. All right, enough Super Cup. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gabi.
Manchester United go down to 10 men and still overcome Arsenal on penalties at the Emirates. Jules, this was a wild game.
It was the only really interesting game in the FA Cup this weekend. I guess with Tamworth against Tottenham that we will talk about after. Incredible. I think we've said it last weekend as well, last Monday show. We expected some improvement again from Amorim and his United team because he would have had a week to prepare for this game and they were well drilled and the 5-4-1 out of possession worked really well defensively. And again, they set up to defend more than anything else. They didn't have much of the ball. They didn't attack much apart from 1 or 2 counter attacks. Or there's one shot from Mainu, one from Garnacho. And then the goal that also came on a quick move forward with 2 mistakes from Lewis Kelly and Gabriel. Well taken by Bruno, but there was not much with the ball. I thought maybe by now there would be a bit more, but they defended really well. They rode their luck, of course. India had a great game in goal. He saved the penalty, a couple of more good saves. But this is a game for me that Arsenal lost more than United won it, really. And I know Amorim was very happy, and it's a really good win for the process and how you improve the draw against Liverpool. Then this draw/win on penalties against Arsenal is great. And now you play Southampton on Thursday, and you validate all of that with a big win where you play with the ball and you play better. For Arsenal, and until you take your chances, you're not going to get anywhere. Newcastle was very similar. They conceded 2 shots on the goal, on target. They conceded 2 goals. They had an XG over 2.5. They could not score. On Sunday, they have an XG of over 3. They only scored 1. They missed a penalty. Their penalty shootout was not good. Raya was not good in goal for it either. You can only blame yourself for this defeat if you're Arsenal.
Harsh words. And
Gab, no VAR in this game because it's the FA Cup 3rd round. And you think the penalty that Havertz got and that Bayern saved on Odegaard would have been awarded at VAR being there?
I would hope not.
It was really soft.
This was really bad. This is really bad. All those people, football was so much better without VAR and blah, blah, blah. Just a reminder, you got garbage like this because the referee in real time, he sees the arm go out. He can't judge whether Maguire shoves him to the ground or not, or grabs his shirt or whatever. He misjudges. It's difficult. It's difficult to officiate. This is what it exists for. Now, that said, and I've said this all along, I have no issue whatsoever with retrospective action for people who dive and do things like this. As you know, I am team Kai Havertz. I know he's getting so much abuse right now for the way he's playing. Buy proper center forward, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But this is cheating. It's cheating what he does. There's no reason for him to go down like that other than saying, let me lull, this big Muppet into a penalty. And just what happened. Same thing afterwards. You have this melee, people get thrown to the ground, punches might have been thrown. The referee, what is he looking at? He can't see everything.
No, yeah, that's
And
true.
you still want to make this argument, it was so much better without VAR. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Tamworth, who are outside the English Football League, for those who don't know, they play in something called the National League.
Yeah, 5th division.
Which used to be called the Conference.
Yeah.
They're beaten 3-0 by Tottenham. However, all the goals come in extra time. The first one was his own goal, which gets deflected like 15 times as the cross comes in. Jules, was this a magic of the cup or just a stinker from Spurs?
It was a bit of both, guy. It was a 3G pitch or 4G pitch, so like the fake grass pitch, frozen. You could see how white it was. It looked like the Buffalo Bills pitch a little bit, to be fair, from last night. If you watch the World Cup playoffs. Is it safe
to play in these conditions?
I'm not sure. I played the other night here in London, and the pitch was very similar, and it was not nice, I promise you. Which makes it tricky, I think, if you're the pros and you play against the underdogs and they fight for their lives, blah, blah, blah. But Spurs were not good, again, with a lot of rotation from Ange and No Solanke and Timo Werner as a number 9 who missed a 1-on-1 with the keeper, as he does. So in the end, I guess you won and you're through and you take that, but that was not pretty.
Yeah, and it's also like, it's a great underdog story, but also like a lot of times the underdog just set up, park the boss.
Yeah, that's what they did. Yeah.
And then if they concede, then all of a sudden the game's boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't happen this time.
That's true. And in a similar kind of way, but went completely differently. Chelsea beat up Morecambe 5-0 and Joao Felix put on a show. Gab, are you still going to be a hater? You are.
So this is my thing, right? When you see Joao Felix do this, just the way he moves, his control, his creativity, his finishing, he's the most technically gifted player at Chelsea. No, tell me, is there somebody?
No, I agree.
Even Cole Palmer says, I only have 1 foot. This guy's got 2 feet, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And then you ask yourself, why can't you do this on a semi-regular basis? It's been, 4.5 years, 5 years or something since he moved for 121 million to Atletico Madrid. He's had loan things at Barcelona. He's at Chelsea. He hasn't just had mean Cholo Simeone as a manager. And he cannot get into the lineup. Something is seriously wrong. He has never made more than 21 starts in a season. That was his first year at Atletico Madrid. Since then, he's never made more than 18 starts in a season. Something's wrong with him. If you can unlock him, you got yourself a superstar. Liverpool beat Accrington Stanley 4-0 as Trent Alexander-Arnold captains the side and scores a tremendous goal. The only player who from the United game the week before to start again.
Yeah.
Jules, everything's fine now, right?
Yeah, I don't know. always thought that you don't really start your superstars in a FA Cup game against a rubbish team like Accrington Stanley. But he did. So does that mean
Federico Chiesa started and scored?
He scored as well. I was
Yes.
happy for Federico Chiesa. So did Rio and Gomorrah, who you don't want to talk about because you don't like his hair or you don't like his
I don't
style.
like his
or...
hair. Chiesa was off the bench. I'm just reminding.
Yeah.
But no. It was sweet. He was very excited
He was
to come on.
excited.
So much energy.
16 years old and 130 days or whatever it was. So well done to him. But yeah, it was always going to be like that.
I go
Walking
back to
back
this,
for
something
Liverpool.
Slot said, which is true. When our players play, or the three free agents to be, when they play badly, you say it's because of the contract. When they play well, they still have the same contract
That's
situation.
true.
Clearly, it's not the
But
contract.
we know it's not a contract. Anyway, we don't know who said that. Milan are held to a 1-1 draw at home by Cagliari, and there are boos from fans at the end for the first league match of Sergio Conceição. Different Portuguese coach, Gabi, and same outcome.
It felt that way. It felt as if they forgot about the
Yeah.
Super Cup very quickly. I think the fans are actually pretty savvy in the sense that, okay, so you're playing against Juve and Inter. Those are two big teams. It's in Riyadh, whatever. We were lucky, certainly against Juve with a comeback.
Yeah.
Now we got to do the bread and butter week in, week out in the league against Cagliari, who go and park the bus. And Milan hit the woodwork with Pulisic. Tammy Abraham missed a sitter.
Yeah, they could have won.
They had the high XG, but this is what was happening under Fonseca before.
Yeah.
So he needs to find that. By the way, a mistake from Magic Mike, sorry to say.
Yeah, it happens.
But it happens rarely with Magic Mike.
Yeah.
Theo, defensively, dude, sort it out. Otherwise, get to the bench or go somewhere else. Manchester City destroys Salford City 8-0 as James McAtee scores a hat-trick.
Yes.
Jules, did we learn anything?
Not really. I mean, this was always going to be like that. I mean, I don't know. Jack Grealish scored for the first time in a year or something like that. So well done. I guess this is good for him.
392 days. They made such a big deal out of it.
Well,
it's not
it's
really
true.
fair. He scored for England in the meantime.
Yeah, but
And it was a
for
penalty
City.
too.
Yeah, but for City, Doku with 2 goals as well. There's nothing to say about this game. Thank you very much. But I guess the only big thing about this game, Gabby, is that Kyle Walker was not involved, and we know why now because Pep revealed after that he basically wants to leave and has asked to leave and to go abroad. Something that he might team up somewhere in Milan, whether with Marcus Rashford at AC Milan or maybe even a move to Inter.
Yeah, so it's not going to be with Marcus Rashford at
No.
Milan because they can only sign one more
Exactly.
non-EU player. So this whole story is weird because it's just funny. It seems like you read a different. Well, Pep said, "Oh, he's asked to move," and then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, Inter, oh, Milan, oh,
Yeah.
Borussia Dortmund." Sure, it's like, "Oh yeah, let's mention the teams that everybody knows." You know, I just want to say this, and the story's gone so far as saying like, "Oh, City will let him leave on a free transfer, and he's so generous. He wants a contract through 2028, but he's going to spread his wages for an extra year." Why did you extend your contract?
Absolutely.
This is, and why would you really come forward and say this now? City are in trouble. They
Yeah.
need you. You're supposedly the club captain. And now all of a sudden you decide mid-season, oh, yes, I think I'd like to explore my options elsewhere. Are you serious? This reflects so poorly on him, same as his 2 families and all this other nonsense. I would not go near this man.
Do you think City need him?
No, I think City said, listen, why don't you go away?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 'Cause
But let's
Pep-
pretend that it's you asking to leave. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, okay.
Pep said like he's a super athlete and he can play for another 5 years.
Yeah,
Well, I
okay.
mean, there's a reason why you're getting rid of him because he doesn't have the legs anymore. He's not an athlete anymore. And that's the problem. I agree with you. I don't know who would pick him. Like really. And he'd be expensive still in wages.
Yeah.
Like I would
Yeah,
not
well, even,
go near
even
him.
if he spreads them, but then you're on the hook for 3 years. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
no chance.
No, Jamal Musiala and Bayern can only win 1-0 against Borussia Mönchengladbach. A penalty from who else? Harry Kane. Jules, they're getting stick for the lack of finishing. Is that fair?
They had chances. Again, they had a few
They had
chances.
a ton of chances.
Yeah, and they should have done better from Muller, who obviously started because Musiala wasn't there. Sane started and Olise started on the other side. And they didn't play badly, but it's just, you can't stay until the 68th minute. That's when the penalty was scored. And 0-0 against a team like this, when you had all those chances. And it's not just on Kane either to not take them.
No.
There was plenty of other people to get involved. I even thought that maybe the penalty was a little bit generous. I think there is contact, probably enough to be given. But
I'm not overly concerned. You know, I'm concerned when you don't create chances. They didn't concede a single shot on goal in the first half.
and Eric Dyer played at the back as well.
Eric was at the back. what would concern me more, and I'm surprised it's more of a talking point, is their two best players in this game for me were Alphonso Davies and Joshua Kimmich, both of whom are free agents in June.
That's true. That is true. Kvicha Kvaratskhelia may be officially on the market, but Napoli don't miss him as they cruise to a 2-0 win over Verona to stay top of Serie A, Gab.
Yeah, and I thought they played well. Really pretty first goal.
Scoring early is...
But I know, but it was really pretty, and there's a great finish from Di Lorenzo, and I mean, it goes down as an own goal because it hits the woodwork and bounces off the keeper, but still, Zambonguisa, another free agent to be, yet another one, scored a tremendous goal to make it 2-0. They keep rolling. They've added Philip Billing. It's a big body. Hey, look, if you need a McTominay type,
I know. I'm still not sure.
Maybe they need somebody's McTominay size. I don't know.
What's this obsession with Conte in the Premier League? Let's go and get all the Premier League players we can.
But only the big ones.
Yeah, only the total strong
Plus
ones.
Billy Gilmore, who then he's kind of forgotten about. Anyway, it's another 2 goals for Ousmane Dembele, and he could have had a third at the end as Paris Saint-Germain beat Saint-Etienne 2-1. Jules, the XG in this game was 4.07 for your boys.
Yeah.
And you had a supposedly genuine center forward playing in Gonzalo Ramos.
Yeah, Gonzalo Ramos started, had 2 chances, missed them, as we do. I'm glad we're about to sign Kvaratskhelia, who's not a prolific goal scorer either. So he's just going to add to the XG, like Barcola does, like Dembele does, because you said he could have had a hat trick, Dembele, probably 4 even.
Is this Kvara thing real? Are they really going to pony up money for Kvara? Or do they have to move Colomwani
No, it's
first?
almost done. Oh, well, Colomwani is going to go probably to Juventus. Skriniar is going to go as well. And maybe even Asensio. So yeah, Kvaratskhelia is on his way. The meeting is happening as we talk now, as we record the show. I don't know if we would have gone for a winger. I've got nothing against Kvaratskhelia. I like him a lot. And if he can find the form that he had 2 seasons ago when Napoli won the title and he was the best player in the league, then I've got no problem. And he's young. But I'm not sure if I would have gone with that position.
Oh, come on. But surely you only have Dembele and Doué and Kang In Lee and Speedy Barcola.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. That's not enough wingers.
I know, man. But we know that Lucho loves a winger. So let's see. Inter bounce back from the derby defeat in the Super Cup to win away at Venezia 1-0. Gabby?
I thought, look, somebody pointed out they're the only team to have gone to Saudi Arabia and come back with a win. So I thought that was important. They weren't dominant, but they've had trouble with Venezia before. They nearly screwed it up at the end. My man Gianluca Busio coming very, very close to an equalizer. Darmian as well, he was there. He was ready, sniffed it out. Aslani's in midfield, and when Aslani's there instead of Çalhanoğlu, Aslani should be better than he is. He's not.
He should.
There is a big drop, but 3 points in the bag for Simone Inzaghi. It's 14 wins in a row now for Atletico Madrid as they beat Osasuna 1-0 to stay top of La Liga, Jules.
Yeah, I mean, this was a typical Cholo. I think that's this 15th clean sheet this season. It's really remarkable how good defensively they've been. Again, considering last season they conceded 43 goals in the league, which was incredible and not Cholo at all. Now he's found a team. We've explained that before. It's the club record. They had never won 14 in a row before in all competitions. They've done that now. Julien Alvarez scoring again, and even if it was not all perfect, and Osasuna, a team that you love, Gabby, tough to break down.
But they were really bad in this game.
They could have scored 2 or 3 easy. I mean, Alvarez could have had a hat trick easily.
Did you see how alone he was for the goal?
Yeah.
I thought
on the corner as well. So it's not like, but well done to them. And yet another draw for Juventus as they are held 1-1 by Torino in the derby. Gab, nobody in the Europe top big 5 leagues has drawn more games than them.
12 and 20.
Yeah,
something.
I mean, they're still unbeaten, but
still unbeaten. Statistically, this is their worst Juve side in 14 years, something like that. Malta needs to sort it out. We've said that. However, there was no Vlahovic.
No.
And 2 bright spots. One
Great
is Douglas.
By Yildiz.
Well, I was going to start with Douglas Luiz. Because he seemed to be like the forgotten man. You spent all this money and he doesn't seem to like him. He was really good. And then Kenan Yildiz.
Yeah. Man.
Ridiculous goal. He's so easy on the eye. Is he the best Turkish teenager in Europe, or is it Arda Güler? This is above my pay grade. I do not want to upset anybody. Fans in Turkey, tell me. In the meantime, I'll get Jules' view. Who are you going to take, Güler or Yildiz?
You can only take Yildiz right now. He plays. The other one doesn't play.
There you go. This is way back on Friday, but Bayer Leverkusen won away to a much weakened Borussia Dortmund 3-2 as Patrick Schick scores another 2. Jules, how did he look?
They look really good at times, Gabby, and they scored 2 early goals to take the lead. And then at times it was a little bit shaky, although I thought the second half was pretty much under control still. This Dortmund side had 12 players missing through the flu. It's not the only team, by the way. Pretty much everywhere, there's a lot of people going down with the flu, and players as well. Schick in top form. And
It's like, take your time, Victor. Take your time.
yeah, I mean, and even when he comes back, I'm not sure right now who you'd start, but I know I would start Schick 100% in that kind of form. So really good win for them, obviously, to put pressure on Bayern, who played on Saturday, coming back just a point behind. Now they're back to 4. But at times, it looked like the Leverkusen of old, I thought, and at times it looked like the Leverkusen of this season. Omar Mamouche does it again as he scored the only goal in Eintracht Frankfurt 1-0 win over St. Pauli away as well. Gab, our friend Jan Fjortov, insists that they, as in Frankfurt, won't accept less than 80 million euros for Mamouche. Does this mean that it's too expensive for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City?
So obviously, Eintracht, Jan's old club, he's very close to them.
Yeah, he knows a lot of people.
He's an
there.
Eintracht fan as well. And he makes a point, and it's a valid point, that we need a big number on him because we're competing to be in the Champions League. So if we lose Marmouche, we need to spend money on a replacement. It affects our Champions League chances. We have to think about the revenue we're going to lose next season. I can tell you this. I wouldn't spend 80 million euros on him.
No.
Because,
but nobody will, though. So if you're Frankfurt, you know that, surely.
Well, then somebody needs to tell his agent that because they keep pushing it and pushing it. I mean, they've been going around all the English clubs.
Yeah.
The reality is, this is a guy, I think he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
It's his first really big breakout season. Yes, he's very, very fast, and he's Egyptian. So it's like, oh, look, it's like Mohamed Salah. Yeah, he's not quite the same
Not
thing.
yet.
I'm not sure, even from short, can he play on the wing for City? Of course he can. But they've got other guys who can play on the wing too, right?
Yeah.
So is this really what City need? Would you really push the boat out that much? Would you sign him to try to maybe go 4-4-2 and play like him and Holland together? Or are you signing him for the bench? In the current climate, I don't think anybody's going to give you 80 million.
Definitely not.
It would need to be something like, I don't know, 40 plus a whole bunch
50.
of bonuses. And Eintracht may figure, yeah, that's not enough for us. But equally, they may also look at this and say, all right, if we don't sell him now, he's never going to be this good again.
I agree.
Sticking with City, I was excited to watch the Havre game against
You were the
Lens.
only one.
Well, no, you'll find our friend Joseph Gourlian also was presumably watching the game as well.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if he was excited like as you were.
But I wanted to watch Abu Kadir Husinov.
Yes.
But sadly, he wasn't there, presumably because he's on the verge of moving to join Pep Guardiola. I asked Rob Palmer about him on the last show, but I suspect you're more of an expert on Uzbek footballers playing in France.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing potential. We broke the story on Friday night that there was a full agreement between the two clubs for 38 million euros plus 10 in bonuses that are easily reachable. So let's call it 48.
48 million euros for a guy who's 20 years old, who's had one season in Europe.
18 months, 1 season and a half.
This is mad.
That Lens bought for 100K. So the profit over this transfer, if all the bonuses are triggered, from a Lens point of view, would be 47.9 million euros. And in terms of profitable transfers, and I know there are other transfers, let's say like a Coutinho, for example, or like a Dembele at the time, that had a bigger profit, but nobody who was bought for less than €1 million brought his club more money than that. There was Figo when Barca paid really low amount to Sporting. Because I checked, I just wanted to see.
Yeah.
I know like a Dembele, when you spend 30 million on and sell for 130 or whatever, you make 100 million. Coutinho was 13 or 14 from Inter to Liverpool and then the Liverpool to Barca. But for somebody who didn't cost you more than €1 million to then sell him for almost 50 is just ridiculous. And well done to the scout who found him, who now, by the way, is in MLS at Columbus Crew, who used to work for Lens at the time, who went to Minsk and found him in the Belarus top flight.
As you do.
18 months ago, as you do. Then watched him in the Asian Under-20 Cup and then the Under-20 World Cup back in 2023. And it was just one of those findings. Is it worth that money? I don't think so right now, but you bought the potential because he's really that good. I think he's the only players in the Big Five leagues this season to have won 80% of his ground duels and aerial duels. And the Ligue 1 league is a physical league. So there's definitely something in there. But I understand that it's a lot of money for him.
He's also extremely quick too.
He's super quick. I think he was checked, or I don't know, he was measured as the quickest player in Ligue 1 this season. He had the sprint at like 36 km an hour or something crazy.
Faster than Speedy Barcola?
Yeah, I think so.
Is he kind of a piece of clay where Pep's going to figure out he's going to play center back, right back, blah, blah, blah. Let me figure this out.
Yeah, I would think so.
And he's designed to have an immediate impact if he comes this season.
Well, I just don't know if you...
Especially with Walker gone, right? Because...
Yeah. So I think this is very much the idea. Lens played with the back three last season especially. He played in all the back three, so he could even play left side of centre back in a midfield three if you want, as a bit of a sweeper, playmaker, whatever. And then on the right, where I guess being right-footed is a bit more comfortable and can cover right back and right centre back. So I think there's something there for City. I can see why they wanted him now and not wait for the summer. There would have been more competition for other English clubs and other clubs in general. It's just what they were ready to pay for him. But Lens were never going to sell for less than 40. So Xavi Simons is back with a bang as Leipzig beat Werder Bremen 4-2. Gab, now that the SOS has been reassembled, can they make a push for the title?
Well, they're 9 points back, but...
It's a lot.
The reason you say no is because of the guy on the bench.
At the back as well.
And the people at the back, yeah. I will say this. He is so exciting. And you think about him and there's moments of skill in that game, which I know Werder Bremen aren't very good, but Simons
is very open, yeah.
Yeah, you had that Sesko shot.
Amazing.
Where he hits the ball so hard.
Banger.
You've got the Nusa run.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like PlayStation.
The second goal for Xavi Simons is amazing. I love the second goal.
Hey, boy, could he go back to Paris Saint-Germain and... No,
another winger.
Another winger, yeah. Why not?
On the left, we can play with 3 left wingers.
Mason Greenwood, speaking of wingers, on the score sheet again as Marseille win it, Rennes 2-1. Jules, they're still 7 points back, but the Zerbi chugging along a little bit.
Yeah, really well. They're the second best team in France right now. There's no doubt. They getting better and better. Greenwood, top goal scorer now with 11 goals. Rabiot scored again and was very good. He was the Sampaoli reunion, obviously, with Marseille and his former team, former players. There was a lot of hugs and a lot of kisses and a lot of love and everything. And I thought Rennes competed well, and Kalimundo missed a penalty before scoring. Marseille came back, won it. There was not much in between the two, but I'm still really impressed by what De Zerbi has done and how he turned things around, and this new system worked great for them. So it's good. It's good for the league. 7 points seems a lot, but there will be another Classique some points in Paris. And you never know that PSG at some point might drop points, and Marseille will have to be near perfect if they want to compete and push them. The Times report that the PFA, Manchester City and Manchester United are all teaming up together to block the Premier League's new anchoring rules. Gab, what is this all about?
So we touched upon this before, is basically in the ever-evolving profit and sustainability rules, which, again, I don't want to bore people with this, but you need to remind yourself. People say, oh, football's big business. Yes, but right now, in its current incarnation, it's a crappy business because everybody loses money, and that's why everybody's cutting back, and that's why transfer activity's down, and that's why all these players are out of contract at big clubs. I've got a column coming up on this. You just need to kind of realize this. So as part of it, they're saying, in addition to the current profit and sustainability rules, where obviously you can only make losses up to a certain amount, they want to have something so that clubs, whoever's at the top, can't spend, the formula is 5 times as much in wages and transfers and amortization, more than 5 times as much as the team that's bottom, that receives the lowest amount from TV money. Obviously, everybody's in favor of this because everybody wants to cut costs. There's less money to spend. There's less money to spend in wages. It's easier to meet the profit and sustainability rules. And equally, obviously, Manchester United saying, well, wait a minute. We hope to be immensely profitable one day. Manchester City saying, well, we're already immensely profitable. Look at our enormous sponsorship deals. And also the PFA are against it because ultimately, like PFA, I disagree with him on this one. Yeah. I think costs need to come down to make the system more sustainable. But equally, they're a players' union. And they're doing their job. Yeah. There's no union that's going to say, oh, yes, please go and limit our wages. No, they want the opposite. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to succeed in this. But hey, if there's find a legal challenge, a legal angle, lawyers, anything can happen. It's time. It's Texter time. Not a great weekend for our hero, Jules, but Lyon lose to Brest, and the DNCG, the France's financial regulatory body, reject his appeal. What does this mean?
And what it means that they're still right now relegated at the end of the season unless they found the money. They still can't recruit either, which is a bit of a blow. I mean, Thiago Almada is going to come over as on loan, so that's fine.
Could he sell Lacazette to Botafogo for $1 billion?
I don't know if he can do that, but clearly all the explanations and all the arguments they gave to the appeal committee to turn around the DNCG decision with all the sanctions was not good enough. They didn't believe them. They said, we want to see proof, not just what you mentioning. Like he said, he would sell Crystal Palace very, very soon. His shares in Crystal Palace, so that would be some money. There'd be some investment in the Eagle Football Company. Again, that they didn't really buy that and said until we see it, then what we can all come up with stuff like that, and if none of it is true, then so they were again. He was very disappointed, probably as disappointed as he was on Saturday because his team didn't play well at all at Brest.
All right, some positive news on this. It's been reported that it's weird. Originally, there were 2 buyers for his 45% stake in Crystal Palace, which of course, in terms of deciding things, is only worth 25%, which is why it gets outvoted all the time. One of them is it's a group with some former Rock Nation executive, some guy like that. And then the other group, which suspiciously I think is called Sport Bank, which sounds a lot like Face Bank, which was the one of Texter's company. But hey, who knows? I'm sure it's entirely independent. They were going to buy into Palace, and then somehow he's reportedly convinced them, no, buy into my Eagle Football Limited group, the consortium that controls Lyon and Botafogo, and was it Molenbeek?
Molenbeek, yeah.
Like, JT, if you get these guys to send you a check and you can fix your books, great, because Lyon fans deserve that. They do not deserve to be relegated. So let's hope it goes through. Who would pay 45% value for something that gives you 25% control? I genuinely don't know. Yeah. But maybe there's a carve out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe people are friends with Blitzer and Harrison Parish and they can work something out.
Yeah, maybe they team up. I don't know. But it's not good. Antony isn't getting any more playing time at United under Ruben Amorim, Gabi, as he did under Erik ten Hag, to be fair. So I guess he's spending time doing other things.
I'm assuming this guy already has lawyers on retainer who will do his bidding, given the number of women who've taken legal action against them for various reasons. So reportedly, he's decided to sue Ajax. Do you remember when he kind of forced his move from Ajax? It was right at the end of the window.
That's right, yeah.
And Erik ten Hag, yes, you need to have him any price, 100 million, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And then there were several games where he didn't play.
Yeah.
Well, Ajax ended up fining him for those. He's saying, well, wait a minute, I was available to play. You chose not to play me. Apparently, he cited some quotes from the Times saying, oh, he's not in the right frame of mind to play. You can't be fining me for that. So even though it's only a few 100,000, which, I'm assuming given Antony's wages isn't that much, he's got time on his hands, so he wants to look after his business and make sure that he gets paid. Davy Moyes is officially in charge at Everton now,
David,
Jules.
I love you.
2.5 years. Yeah. Did the Friedkins get this one right?
Time will tell, I guess. I'm a fan. Not really, as you know.
Okay, if the Friedkins had gotten on the phone to you, right?
Yeah.
If they said, this is Ryan Friedkin here. I'm just finished flying my own plane, jumping out of it from 10 million feet into my private game reserve in Tanzania. What do you think? Should I go for Moyes?
I would have said, pass me Dan. Dan, please.
Dad.
Tell me that you're not in agreement with this. No, I would not have. I think this is a fan token. Is that what you say? When you want to keep the fans happy and you think, hey, if I'm bringing a club legend back, which David Moyes is, to be fair to him at Everton, then maybe the fans will love us. It's a great start with the fan in our relationship. So maybe at that level, it might make some sense. Although I'm sure there are some Everton fans who are thinking like, really? David Moyes back? After leaving, 10 years ago or 12 years ago, whatever it was? Surely...
I think it was 13 years ago even.
Yeah,
12 years ago.
2013, after Sir Alex. I don't know. If I was an Everton fan, I would be completely underwhelming. I'm not saying I don't give David Moyes a chance to steady the ship, but 2.5 years, really?
That's the part. I think they're 1 point above the relegation zone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I get the sense.
3 wins this season.
We talked about the sacking of Sean Dyche, and again, the way it was presented, it was really funny because all these things. I'm going to lift the lid a little bit. They're negotiated, right? That's sort of the. When somebody leaves a club, you negotiate. Well, how are we going to describe your exit? Is it mutual, termination by mutual consent or whatever else? And then, of course, there's the briefing where somebody at the club who wants to remain nameless goes and whispers to the papers, but that it comes from the club because every paper's got the same one. So what I read, and it was the same thing in every paper, was Sean Dyche was sacked after he told the club he couldn't take Everton any further. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. So if you didn't like the fact that he said that, so you sacked him? Is this the thinking? I mean, when I talk about
lack of ambition, maybe they're saying like, hang on, if you're not ambitious, then
I don't know, but I would have thought normally that's what you hear when people resign. Oh, I can't do any more with this, or in this case, but given it's Sean Dyche. So this thing is weird. I hope it doesn't get litigious and nasty because that's not what they need.
No, definitely not.
It speaks to the Freakins' PR issues again, that nobody really understands this. Why did Dyche leave? I presume there's a gag order and he can't speak about it. Maybe he will one day.
Yeah.
Again, I understand why he moved on, but 2.5 years for Moyes. Again, that seems, why don't we say, keep us up, and then an option and big bonus if you keep up, and then we'll talk in the summer. Wouldn't that make more sense?
I think so. Sadly, we have to report a case of racist abuse in Serie B, Gab.
2 of them, actually. There was one in a game involving, I'm blanking on in the Reggiana game involving Paris born and bred Mehdi Dorval.
Oh, yeah?
Who's, I think he's half Algerian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And in that case, they did the protocol. They stopped the game for 7 minutes, and it stopped. So, but obviously nobody should deal with that, and you hope that there is follow-on.
Yeah.
The other one, I think this is really bad, and it's really bad again from the club, from Brescia, and the way they handle this. It was Brescia against Sampdoria. The player is Ebenezer Akisamiro, who is Nigerian. He felt he was getting racially abused. He reported it to the referee. The referee says, okay, I'll look out for it. And he alerted, the pitch side observers. So far, so good. Then Sampdoria score. Akisamiro goes to recover the ball. He gets racially abused again when he goes to recover the ball. And then he kind of does this weird dance, kind of like mocking the fans. And then the referee goes and books him for provoking the fans at that stage. Now, it's easy for us to say, all right, don't react, just report the referee, let them handle it. Equally, I don't see why you need to book the player in that situation. And then even worse, his coach, Semplici, comes out and says, oh yeah, at that point I feel terrible for Akisamiro. I had to go and substitute him because I was worried he might get sent off. And I'm thinking to myself, way to support the guy in that situation, message, right? Definitely. That is completely the wrong message.
Yeah.
And also from Brescia, I don't know if they issued a statement. It's certainly not on their social media feed. Guys, come out and say something, please. I hope, again, there's a proper investigation here. Manchester United have extended Amad Diallo's contract through 2030, Jules. This was a no-brainer.
Yeah,
can we praise Jim?
Yeah. Well done, Jim, Wilcox, Berada, whoever. Amorim took the decision. Amorim's man. It was a no-brainer. He's earned it. He's deserved it. He got it. Well done to him. He's really done well since Amorim arrived, especially even slightly before that. He's part of the future of that football club, whether it's in the inside 10 position, wider, wherever you want to play him. There's clearly something special there. It took him a long time, I think, to get to this level of maturity, consistency, etc. But it's good to see that young players can get there. So well done, Amad, and well done, United, for recognizing all of that. Fabrizio Romano, our friend, reports that Renato Vega is expected to leave Chelsea in January, Gabi, and the club value him at 30 million euros. Gab, is that a bit odd to you?
It's very odd to me.
What's odd? The fact that he wants to go, that they let him go, or the value?
There's
all three.
There's so many levels of odd in this one. Odd number one is that they only paid 14 million for him in the summer.
Yeah,
Sorry,
from
odd
Basel.
number one is a 30 million euro valuation. That is for me odd number one. Odd number two is that they've been linked to Borussia Dortmund. I know you've got defenders out, but equally presumably they'll come back at some way. You've got a lot of defenders, and why would you pay 30 million for Renato Vega? Seems odd to me when there's only 14 million in the summer. Odd from Chelsea's perspective too, because he signed a 7-year deal. Again, doing some basic back of the envelope math here. You can say, oh, look, we're making a big profit on him. Yeah, but you signed such a long contract, and if he leaves after 6 months, in terms of amortization, and book value, you're going to make like 18 million when you could make a lot more if you simply hang on to him a little bit longer. Odd to me as well, because a lot of Chelsea fans seem to think that Renato Vega has been really good.
You don't agree?
Sorry?
You don't agree?
I'm not. I don't think he's a particularly good player.
But the versatility is interesting, no? Because he can play in different positions.
That's odd number 5 or 6. Oh, yeah, of course. But apparently he's leaving because he wants to play center back. So that's it. Go to the team that has Schlotterbeck and Sule and Valdemar Anton and whatever. That's another issue. So he doesn't see himself as versatile. He sees himself as a center back, even though so far he's really only played left back and defensive midfield.
Yeah.
Odd number 20. I don't know how many odds have come to.
Yeah, there's a lot of odds.
Okay, so you've got Moises Caicedo, who can play defensive midfield. You've got Romeo Lavia, who plays defensive midfield.
Who's always injured,
when
though.
fit, yeah. And you got Enzo. And then what? You got Dewsbury Hall.
Yeah.
Am I forgetting somebody? Carney and Casadei are attacking midfielders, and you're supposedly trying to move them out anyway.
Yeah.
Is there another defensive midfielder I'm forgetting?
I don't think so.
Is Leslie coming back to play defensive midfield?
I don't think so either.
Are they going to bring the kid from Strasbourg who they paid all that money, the Brazilian guy?
Andre Santos? I guess they could, but he's doing well in France.
I mean, I don't quite follow this. And also, isn't he also your backup left back? I know Malo Gustos had to play left back sometimes, but equally, is this really, you don't really want Malo Gusto playing left back regularly, do you?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so
it's one to keep an eye on. Yeah,
it seems like there's something here that we're missing. Khalidou Sidibe started in midfield for Guingamp in their 4-1 win over Annecy Friday. But Jules, that's not why we're talking the French second division, is it?
No, that's not, Gab. Although I love Ligue 2 to be in the quick hits.
Yes, Ligue des Champions.
Khalidou Sidibe, Thursday night, the Guingamp. So Guingamp had to go from west of France all the way to east, obviously, to go from Guingamp to Annecy. And then they arrive in Annecy. They got off the bus in front of their hotel. And Sidibe and 2 of his teammates witness a thief just snapping the phone. Snatching, the phone of a woman's hand.
In front of their hotel.
Like not far from the hotel, yeah. And the woman screaming. And Sidibe sees the thief grabbing the phone and running off. So start chasing him with the other 2 Guingamp players. And if you don't know Sidibe, he's this tall, super strong, super fast guy. So obviously the thief just picked the wrong place to steal the phone because in no time, Sidibe had caught him, grabbed the phone, put it on the floor, wait for the police to arrive. The police arrived, obviously arrested the thief, and they then gave the phone back to the woman who was very happy. And the next day, they have a wonderful performance and win 4-1. So well done, Sidibe and the Guingamp player who chased the thief.
It's fantastic.
It's a lovely story. Another championship story, but not in France, in England this time. Not so good story though, because the championship top scorer, Borja Sainz, Gabi, has been banned for 6 games for spitting at Sunderland's defender Chris Metham. Are you okay with that? I mean, not the spitting, but with the suspension?
People are really upset by...
It's not long enough, they think, or it's too long?
I don't know. I always wonder with these suspensions, what are you trying to do? Like discourage spitting?
Right, educate?
Educate? Yeah. This isn't like racism where say, oh, well, where you want to send a message, set an example and educate, right? Borja Sainz presumably knows that spitting at somebody is not acceptable unless you're Evangelos Marinakis and you need to expectorate. And then in which case you're free to go and spit in the floor indoors in your own house because that's normal for you, as your lawyer said in his defense. So I don't know, 6 games, 3 games, 4 games, like... He got the message. It's not like you're going to do it again, right?
No, it's similar to the Bentancur. This is,
I thought the Bentancur was excessive. And in this one, if he's apologized, and I think he said, like, I don't know what came over me. Okay, fine. Move on. I'm assuming it's going to affect Norwich's promotion hopes. They're not in the playoff spots.
Yeah,
so there.
Yeah.
Jules, this brings us to an end, but we're going to come back on Thursday, aren't we?
Your favorite midweek league action.
Midweek league action. That's right. Not something I normally enjoy, but hey, we'll be there. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.